What is going on, everybody over on YouTube? Today's video, I'm going to go over how to get ungated in the grocery category on Amazon in 2020. All right. Now, this was sort of a big deal yesterday. We saw it over in our Facebook group. Basically, what a lot of people started noticing is they all of a sudden were restricted in the grocery category when they've been selling in it all along. Now, I made a post about this over in our Facebook group at Hustle Buddies, but I want to say it again here. If it is actually true, if Amazon is starting to restrict the grocery category, that's a good thing, okay? That's not something that you need to worry about. That's something you should be excited about, okay? And I'll sort of explain why. So with Amazon, one big reason why I think Amazon is so profitable is because the beginning is so hard, because there's a large barrier to entry. People feel like they're restricted in everything. Now, if there's a lot of people that are not restricted in grocery, when they're first starting, they can go to Walmart, they can go to Target, they can go wherever and start scanning grocery stuff and start sending stuff in. That means that grocery prices for the easy low-hanging fruit will always stay low, because that's where all of the beginners who don't really know what they're doing yet, or they are worried something doesn't work, or maybe they buy a bunch of stuff and then it's not selling, so they drop their price. All of those things contribute to the fact that grocery prices for the low-hanging fruit will stay low. The more barriers to entry there are, the higher the prices will get and the more lucrative that line will become. So if you're willing to put in that little bit of extra work, that getting a wholesale invoice, which is what I'm going to go through today, if you're willing to do that little bit of extra work, you just chopped out 90% of your competition and you're going to make that much more money. So if it is in fact gated and if it's not a glitch, that's really good news for everyone who's taking this seriously. If you're just kind of dabbling in it, yeah, I could see it being bad news because you don't want to jump through all these hoops. But if you're taking Amazon seriously, then this is fantastic news if in fact they did gate the category. All right. Now I want to go through a couple things. And actually, before I start, I want to preface this with, when I first started Amazon, grocery was not an open category. No one could sell on it until you jumped through these hoops. And it wasn't just get a wholesale invoice. I actually had to go to the FBA and get registered as a food processing facility with the FBA in order to sell on Amazon. And I can kind of briefly show you guys where to go if Amazon goes back to that requirement. But as of now, my understanding is that's not something they need, okay? So I'm going to share my screen for a second. All right, so if you are restricted, okay, let me see if I can make that bigger. If you are restricted, most likely what Amazon will ask you to do is submit an invoice. Actually, let me, I'm going to pull up what that should look like. All right, so if you are gated in it, what you're going to want to do is click apply. Just go through that button, click apply for this category. And this is the screen that you should see, okay? You should see this selling application for category, grocery, and gourmet foods, okay? Right here, are you a reseller or a distributor? You are a reseller or distributor. You're not the manufacturer, unless you are, but that's probably not the case. And then submit required documents. You need to at least one of these invoices that includes all of this information. So here's the important stuff that your invoice needs to have. First off, an invoice is not a receipt. An invoice is different. Your invoice needs to be dated after July 12th, so within 180 days. It has to include your name and address, and that name and address has to be the same as what you use on Amazon. So like if your Amazon account is in your name and you try to do a wholesale account in your spouse's name, that won't work. So it's got to be the same name, same address that you use on Amazon. It has to include the name and address of the manufacturer. So all of their contact info, all that stuff, so that Amazon can easily reach out to them if they need to. You have to have a combined purchase of at least 10 units, okay? So what I recommend is whatever product we're going to get, we need to order at least 10 units. Usually I say get just a couple more just in case. And oftentimes cases come in cases of 12. So usually I order things in cases of 12. All right. You can omit the pricing if you would like. That doesn't really matter a whole lot. I don't really care if Amazon knows what I paid for this stuff. And then they may contact your vendor to verify everything. Okay. So that's everything that you need. You need to make sure that it's an actual photo and you didn't just computer generate it. You need to make sure it's clear, make sure it includes either the model number or the product name or both. So that would be like the UPC. It has to include the name and physical location of the business, and all the information must be in English if you're doing this in the US. Okay. All right. So I'll give you guys a couple options of where you can go. Okay. So someone actually posted this yesterday. There's a really easy way to do this is literally go to Google, type in grocery wholesaler. Okay. You don't need any like special, like, oh, who do I go to? Where do I go? I don't know where to go. Like, just type in grocery wholesaler in Google and see what pops up. Let's click on this top one. I haven't done this ahead of time. So I don't know if this place will work. Let's see our services, pricing, wholesale procurement. That's more. Looks like this is actually more like perishable grocery. You could go here. There should be a way to do this again. I didn't do this ahead of time, so I'm not sure exactly. So that's one site, but that's literally just the top option when I went to Google. You could go to the next option or the next option. Or people are posting in the group about Frontier Co-op. Sure, you can go with that. It doesn't really matter. Online ordering info. Oh, that looks like exactly what we want. Don't have a wholesale account? Sign up for free. All right, so you can go through and fill in all this info. I took out my stuff because it's going on YouTube. So tax ID. This is sort of the important part. Most legitimate wholesalers will ask for this. There are some that won't. So I'll sort of touch on that in a second, but let me explain this first. So your tax ID, they want your reseller tax certificate number, okay? When you are selling on Amazon, it's pretty important, I would say, to form some sort of business. It doesn't matter if it's an LLC, a sole proprietor, an S Corp, whatever it is, just form it so it's official. Then once you have that, you're gonna need to go to the IRS's website and get yourself an EIN number. Your EIN number is sort of like your business's social security, okay? Once you have your EIN number, then you're going to go to your state's website and you're going to get yourself a reseller tax certificate. Now, every state calls this something slightly different. In Florida, I have this. In Florida, they call it the Florida Annual Resale Certificate for Sales Tax. And actually, mine expired about a week ago. It expired at the end of the year. So you'll need to get yourself one of these reseller tax certificates. Now, every state calls it something slightly different. It could be a tax exempt card, reseller tax exempt, tax certificate. I'm not sure what your state calls it, and everything is slightly different, but you'll go to your state's website and you'll have to use your EIN number in order to get this. Now, most of that process is pretty much instant. Like you type in this number there, you get an email there. You shouldn't have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks. It's not, if you're waiting weeks and weeks, you probably did something wrong, unless there's a state that I'm not familiar with that I haven't heard about it taking a long time. But for the most part, you can get all this stuff really, really quickly. All right. So once you have this reseller certificate, then you just punch in that number where it says your tax ID. Okay. Business type. Let's just say we are a wholesale. It doesn't matter a whole lot. Store size, let's say we're on the small size. How did you hear about us? Online search. Equipment. Let's just say I have a pallet jack. Okay. I don't think most of that stuff really matters because we're going to be ordering in pretty small quantities. All right. So once you get all that, you would submit it and then go through. Now, I have heard of sites that don't require this tax ID thing. I have not personally tried them, but I've heard of other people trying it and saying that it worked for them. So I will just pass on that information, and I'm sorry if it doesn't work, and I will edit that out if it does not work for you. So the other site that I've heard people try is it's called wholesale.frontiercoop.com. Wholesale.frontiercoop.com. And you can sign up for an account there. You click join, do all the same stuff, get started. You don't need to pay the activation fee unless you really want to, but you get started, fill in all that same information about your business. Okay. Now, once you start going, then you can get in here and figure out what you want to buy. Now, to actually make the purchase, you need to find something that exists on Amazon, okay? So if we are in here, let's just say that we want to sell this all-terrain natural eczema regime, all right? Let's see if we can find one of these things over on Amazon. And it doesn't really matter what you buy. I've heard of people buying like spices. Let's see, spices and seasonings. That'd probably be pretty cheap. Let's go with this. So I've heard of people buying really cheap spices. Again, you just need 10 of something, and it has to exist on Amazon. Let's see. Frontier smoked sea salt. That seems like, oh, and Simply Organic. That's a popular brand. All right, let's try to find some of these things for you guys. Okay. I'm doing this live so you can actually see the process with me. Okay. So let's search Frontier smoked salts. Look at that, Frontier smoked salt. I misspelled it and they still knew exactly what I wanted. All right, so there it is, Frontier smoked applewood sea salt. Frontier smoked applewood. I see it on the packaging right there. That is what I want. So for this, I would order 12 of those. You'll see a price usually once you actually have the account, but we're not really looking to make a profit on these things. If you do, then great, but we're not looking to make a profit on these. We're just looking to break even or come as close to breaking even as we can. So I would order 12 of these things. Bing, bang, boom. That's all you need to do. And then over in Amazon, when you go to apply, you would just upload, remember that document that we were looking at before? We would just upload that invoice that has 12 of these things, and that will unlock all of the grocery category and the gourmet food, and everything across the board will be unlocked. Once you're ungated in the category, it's not like the category is unlocked for this item, but the category is still locked for that. A brand might be still locked. Like maybe you're still gated in Kellogg's, but the grocery category will be unlocked for you if you follow those steps. All right. So just to go over that again, you're going to need to set up your business, get your EIN number, get your tax certificate or your resale tax exempt card, whatever your state calls it. You're going to need to set up a wholesale account. You're going to need to order 10, I would suggest like 12 units of some really cheap item, and then you'll have to upload that invoice to Amazon. All right. It's not difficult, but it's difficult enough and it's confusing enough that it prohibits a lot of people, thus making the grocery category potentially a lot more profitable going into the future if they did in fact gate it for everyone. All right. So hopefully that helps. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather. I apologize for that. If you guys are not yet a part of our Facebook group, go ahead and check that out. There's a big conversation about this over there. It's facebook.com/groups/hustlebuddies. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something from this video. And yeah, we'll see you there. Hustle on, guys.